also like to welcome...
Sorry, Chair, bear with me. Emily, are we live? Yeah. Yeah. Just making sure it's going out to the public before you start.
Are we live? So do you want me to do this in that case then?
Would you mind?
No. Okay. So I'll take all that back again and we'll start again. So just for you to be aware, today's meeting is being filmed for live and subsequent broadcasts by way of the council's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the council. Generally, the public seating areas are not filmed. However, by entering the meeting and using the public seating area, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and or training purposes. Members dialing in remotely, please turn off your microphones when you turn on your microphones when you wish to speak, and please remember to switch them off when you're finished. So we've got Councillor Mudd there. That's the only one.
Thank you, Chair. Can you see me okay? Because the display that I've got on my screen is a bit different to the one that I'm used to. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yeah, we can see and hear you okay. Yeah, that's the important thing.
Thank you, Chair.
So good evening, let's start that again. First of all, I'd like to welcome and introduce Vicky to everybody. I think that's what you said you were going to be called, wasn't it? As opposed to the long name from there. So Vicky's our newest member of the Standards Committee and has joined us just recently following open and fair recruitment. Vicky won't be the only new one joining because Kerry and I next year, our terms come to an end. So we'll be moving on. So we'll be working with Leanne and Mike just to make sure that we get some more replacements for us, but that's to come in the future. The stage is yours just for 2 minutes. I knew you would not dump it on you because you're such an experienced person to do that. Whatever you like.
What my background?
Just a little bit of, yeah, it's a bit, and then we'll just...
So I'm Vicky, or on a Sunday you can call me Victoria. It's my Sunday best. I'm local. I live in Bournemouth, but for very many years I worked in the court. I'm a dual qualified solicitor and barrister by background. I spent about 10 years working next door at the Magistrates Court as a legal advisor to magistrates. I have been in private practice where I was a tax litigator for many years, and I now work as a part-time judge and work for a number of regulatory bodies, making decisions and things like that. Kind of interested in standards and have been involved in work with the Standards Authority but really keen to work more locally.
Thank you. And just for the minutes, we'll just do a very quick round robin. You don't need to make any length of time, just so that I know you're trying to chat to a few people to make sure everyone in. We start at the end, done there with Councillor Will Roadley. There you go, simple as that.
John Dewis, Richard Morgan, lay member.
I will get Emily to introduce herself because one of the key parts of the team is Emily and the support she provides.
Good afternoon, Emily Major, and I'm the Governance Officer who supports Standards.
So I'm Andrew Mitchell and the current Chair of the Standards Committee, and Kerry Watkins, the Vice Chair.
Leanne Rollins, Democratic and Electoral Services Manager.
Mike Wallbank, I'm the Council's Monitoring Officer.
And last but not least, Councillor.
Welcome, Vicky. I'm Councillor Jane Mudd.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So moving on, first of all, apologies for absence. I believe there may be one or two for us.
We've had apologies for Dr. Paul Worthington.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest from anybody. Thank you very much. Chair's announcements is item 3 on the agenda. I've got nothing that Mike has asked me to bring to your attention. Anything that comes up will come up by Mike a little bit later on, but certainly nothing for me for item 3 on the agenda. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. I will say I wasn't at this, so I will run through them. First of all, for accuracy and then matters arising. But those of you who are here, Kerry, you were chair that evening, weren't you? So I mean, if you want to run through them, you've got them there or not?
Yes, yeah, we can run through the previous minutes then. If we can take
First page, do we have any comments on that? Second page, page 4, third page, page 5. I think that then there's the report. So I think that's about it.
Thank you very much indeed. Any that's arising? And obviously, you've been through for accuracy. There you go. We've asked Mike if he's got any complaints on this this wonderful evening of ours that you need to bring to our attention.
Not that I need to bring to the committee's attention. There are a few complaints regarding members of this council and of community councils that are currently being considered by the Ombudsman. I'm awaiting the Ombudsman's determination on all of them, and as and when the Ombudsman has determined what it will do or what it would like me to do with them, I will bring them back to this committee. The only other thing I would add on complaints generally is that the Ombudsman's annual letter will be coming to this committee slightly late in this cycle. It was issued by the Ombudsman and then recalled due to an error in it, and we have had the final version now. However, not in sufficient time to distill that into a report for the committee to look at. So the report on that will come to the January meeting. But other than that, Chair, nothing specific to update on, and as always, happy to take any questions.
Any questions? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Item 7 on the agenda is the National Standards Committee Forum feedback. The minutes of which went out on the 21st of June, did we say?
I think it was the 18th of August.
The June was the 21st was the meeting, and the 18th of August the minutes went out, so you've had those. But ultimately, for those of you who are not aware, this is a forum of all the chairs of Standards Committee in Wales. It also has a number of additional add-ins that quite surprised me. National Parks Authority have a representative. The fire, some of the fire authorities put representatives on there. I don't think there's anything from the police authority. And I think you may have told me before, Mike, that those sort of ones have a different way that they look at their standards, or
Yeah,
I mean, to put you on the spot, but I know there's a reason why there isn't there.
well, the police have a different standard structure. They refer to a different ombudsman and they're overseen differently, whereas the fire and rescue services are linked in with the local authority and have a structure. And I think their complaints do go to the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales, whereas the police's don't. So the police are subject to a separate regime in essence.
Thank you for that. But basically, what tends to happen is it's more often an information shop where the ombudsman is invited and shares with her experience on what she can in relation to the work she's doing. And I think in that one, she was there and was talking about a number of cases that came back to her from local authorities and the standard of them when they came back to her initially. But that's, I don't want to say any more about it, purely and simply because I haven't looked at the minutes, the bottom line on that, and that's just from memory, but they obviously went out. And I will assure you that for the next meeting, I will give you a further update on that from there. The only other thing I'd like to put in there is just to add a little a bit to the agenda, I suspect, on that, and it's something to do obviously with the Standards Committee, is that our report was presented to the full council back last month. As you agreed, and as we agreed, obviously, it really is raising the profile of the Standards Committee within the council, and it was good to go there and present it on our behalf, so that people then understand that we have a Standards Committee, we've got a job of work to do. This is a report that came out from it, and we do that job of work. Admittedly, Leanne and her team had put most of it together, and my little spiel, but I think it's really good that we are there and represented. And as you know, we do ask leaders of the various parties to come in from time to time and tell us what they're doing to maintain standards within their own party. So I think one of the areas that perhaps we should most pride ourselves on, and obviously probably regret these words, is that, you know, we don't have a huge amount of work to do purely simply because we maintain the standards, and the parties maintain the standards for their members, and for those locally elected members, which is really good to hear from that side of it. So just to give you a bit of an update on that. Member training update, Anne, is that for you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. So, as the committee is aware, Standards Committee has a role in terms of encouraging promotion and maintaining high standards of conduct by our councillors. So this includes ensuring that our members have access to training specifically regarding the members' code of conduct, the wider responsibility around providing reasonable access to training falls under the Cabinet Member for Education and in the year's portfolio. However, we have brought regular reports to the committee showcasing the wider curriculum of training provided to members, as that is part of the wider network of support available to members in terms of their standards and their conduct. So this presents an update since our last meeting on the sessions that have been provided, the learning opportunities available to elected members. It also sets out the attendance as percentages that have made it to each of those opportunities. Some of the focus during the reporting period was on safeguarding, corporate parenting and tackling violence against women. We also had a number of sessions that were facilitated by external organisations such as the Carbon Trust and Went Police. In terms of the Code of Conduct, whilst the committee is aware that we did have 100% attendance to Code of Conduct training, do run those regular refresher sessions. So whilst the refresher session didn't attract 100% attendance, it is still 100% because people have attended at least once since the May 2022 elections. I don't know if the committee recalls, there was a survey presented to members to get their feedback on the training provided, and that feedback did inform the curriculum for the past year. We've tried to make opportunities to have some learning focus that sits outside the talk and talk, so you know, the presentations and the slides. So there's been site visits, there's also been face-to-face workshops, informal discussion groups and drop-in sessions that aim to be different ways for members to engage with learning and development. Further to that, which it is asked to note the update on the training provided. We're also looking to, again off the back of the feedback from our members, try and set up a framework whereby the training topics are categorised. So there's some feedback from members that there is a lot of training provided, so there are lots of opportunities, and in order to try and manage their time and focus as best they can on the main priorities, we are looking to try and categorise the levels of training. So I think this is on page 15 of your pack. So there is a suggestion there on the categorisation, and also where does this fit in? Is this for newly elected members? Is this targeted at experienced members? Or is this for members of specific committees related to their duties? So we've done some work around consulting on the suggested frameworks. We've been to Democratic Services Committee, we've been to a Cabinet Member, we've also been to senior officers, as they are often providing the learning opportunities for members. So part of the report today is to ask the committee to share their views on the development of categorisation, the training, and also what topics the committee members might consider would be essential, and their wider thoughts on the new approach being developed. So it's expected once we've done the round of consultation, we would prepare a further report that would be taken back then to the Cabinet Member. Part of the Cabinet Member decision-making process would include consultation with all the elected members. So that is what I wanted to cover, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Yeah, just on call upon the ethical standards training, it only shows a 40% take up But when the leaders came, they all said that they had 100%. And their councillors are taking it up. So it's a, why is it not showing 40%?
So there is a requirement for all elected members to complete the code of conduct training once in their term. But what we like to do is offer the refresher training at regular intervals. So as long as the members have completed the code of conduct once in the term, that is considered 100% attendance. But obviously there are these other opportunities.
That's just the refresher.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they've done it at least once. Some of them have done it 2-3 times at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I have a question if I can.
Yeah, you carry on, please do.
So if I've understood this correctly, the graph on page 12 is representative of the unit, and that shows, for example, that 40% of people have attended a counselling course during the course of Is there a document that shows overall that if I was a particular counsellor, that I've attended all of these courses or what courses I have attended, that's put together globally so you can see where the global gaps are on an overall basis rather than on the basis of...
Yeah, there is a tracker that we manage in democratic services. So since the elections in May 2022, that information has all been tracked for each individual member. What we do on a quarterly basis to support the group leaders in their role in upholding standards within their group is to share with them the outcome of the training for that quarter for their group members. So that's shared with the elected group members, and again, part of what they come back to report on a regular basis is their methods of training for their groups. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, so there's a document that basically allows you to say there that systemic issue with being taken by.
Yeah, and sometimes I think this is where the focus on, for example, the safeguarding and the parenting has been over the last 12 months, because we wanted to make some inroads into that, make sure that our members have the relevant knowledge and skills in that area to be able to support them in their roles. Great, thank you.
Yes, if I could add something.
Yes,
a lot
yeah.
of these training modules are online, aren't they? But I find it very useful, I have to say, because they're not overly long, and so you don't lose concentration. And I find them extremely useful.
Yeah, it's certainly right. Some of the core modules, we definitely have those online at the moment. What I would say is we don't have a high number of take up on those. So I think we've listened to some feedback on the platform that we provide the e-learning on. So there's some changes. We've got a new platform coming in imminently. And one of the things we've been working on that I'd hope to get over the line for this meeting, but it's not quite there, is providing the refresher training for code of conduct as an e-learning module. So, you know, it's still essential to have a face-to-face session at least once in the term with our elected members, get the 100% attendance, but then something really useful then that members can go and look at as and when. So hopefully when we've got the new platform in and we have a new module, I think the plan is then to go a push on, you know, this is available to you as well. And we'd also be able to get almost at the top of numbers to complement, you know, the facilitated sessions, which we hope we can get more completion rates there. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think the way that it's going, I mean, look, I can actually just say I actually got quite a good attendance record, so I can feel okay. I haven't attended everything, so it's a bit of a confession there as well. I like the idea of mixing things up. So the code of conduct refresher going online will always be good, because well, one needs to go back and have a look at it. You can have a look at it when you need to have a look at it, not just when you want to have a look at it because of you're in trouble. So those types of learning, there's a whole raft of learning here that actually could be picked out and looked at and could be done. But this is a progression. We are progressing. I mean, 5 years ago, we were nowhere near here. So every time you look over that period of time, you see a step further and further. So, you know, from a standards committee point of view, I would say we are going in the right direction, or you are indeed.
Something else we've done in response to the feedback from the survey was to set up the new intranet page. So we sent out a message to our elected members recently to say, this is here, this is where the key presentation slides, for example, will be stored there. So, you know, a flight-in session, which people really found useful. If people weren't able to make that session, then that is online and go and look at the slides in their own time as well. So as you say, it's trying to augment the offering and try and make it a bit broader and more available to people.
And I think it's getting this into the psyche of elected members. I'm not going to use myself, but I could. So we know, so we remember where to go and look, because don't forget, these are new procedures, new ways forward, where there's so much developing about. It's so fast of where we have to look. If you work in education, you work on this, you go into all different parts of the globe here on this thing. And so maybe gently reminding and speaking about it as often as we can, and maybe shoving something back. So the group that I'm a party of, I would go back and mention this to them. So maybe some of the group leaders, which I'm not, to reinforce and to mention these things, just so we keep updated, as well as you mentioning it to us on a regular basis.
Yeah, that was building on that. That's something I was going to mention, this proposed categorisation. Are you going to get the buy-in of the group leaders?
I think the discussion at a high level about progressing towards it, and again, it was off the back of the survey feedback. So there's a lot of sessions provided in a 12-month period. You know, elected members have a busy role, because they've got lots of busy roles outside of their councillor remit. So part of it was to try and provide some sort of designations to members, so they can think, like, well, if I need to spend a core amount of my time on these, and maybe some of these others are useful to know, but they're not essential. They're not as essential in the role.
Yeah,
so it was to try and help support that. You know, where do I focus my time best?
Just sort of seemed a useful tool as well to group leaders, you know, to promote, or you know, for them to understand where they should focus their efforts, again, their efforts actually do the training as well.
I think focusing on that, I mean, for myself, my main focus is on it would be on standards here, corporate parenting and planning. So my learning is always geared to, let me see what's going on in these areas, what's being developed. And I know individual members have individual strengths, and maybe it's playing and asking the individual members to recognise their strengths, or the group leaders to recognise the strengths of their groups, and asking them to concentrate on the strengths, because we can't do it all. And not only that, we can't remember half of what we do, because we're doing so much all the time. We have to retain that information. But going back and finding the information is good as well. That makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it does. And I think some of the challenges around the code of conduct, and the legislation as a mandatory training element, but about the auditors and inspectors, some of the requirements that come out of those, like the safeguarding training. So again, just to try and boil it down to, you know, these are the really essential core modules everybody needs to know about, and then the others might depend on, as you say, which committee you're part of.
Yes.
Councillor Mudd's got a hand up.
Thank you. Councillor Mudd.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that I welcomed the categorisation. I thought that was really helpful. I think that'll be helpful to elected members, but actually, what I think is really important about this and about what we're discussing is a framework which actually provides assurance to the citizens that we serve as well. And for me, that's really important, that the public can be assured by looking at this information and looking at this framework, that their elected representatives are being trained effectively in order to help inform decision making on behalf of the citizens. So I think the proposed categorisation matrix really helps towards that. So I welcome that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Beth. And I think that was one of the sort of comments. Sorry, Mark.
No, all I was going to say was just to go back to Richard's question a few moments ago. I mean, it will be discussed with the group leaders as part of the process of finalising it. Absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah. Just going back to the sort of last comment that Leanne made about, you know, what our thoughts are. Councillor Mudd's expressed her thoughts about the matrix and the categorisation of it. Now is the obvious time to, has anyone else got any thoughts? Personally, I think it's a great idea. You know, it's something visual for people who like the visual stuff. There it is. It's in those sort of headings that you think, okay, that all fits together. Any other thoughts from my colleagues? Yeah, very good indeed. So I think the general consensus there, Leanne, is that everyone, you know, feels it's a worthwhile document and, you know, to run with it. Thank you for your work on it. Really impressive on that side of it. And it would be quite nice, actually, and something perhaps we can look at is when we do invite the party leaders again. This should be embedded by then, and you know, just to see what they're. Obviously, they'd have given you your feedback for it, but for us just to ask them how they're feeling about it, and are they, you know, are they following it, and is it being used to what you expect it to be used?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Date of the next meeting. Look at that already. January. I think it's 6. We've got back a year. And I want to say, is the 15th of January a Thursday, 2026? That's all. It was picked up as 2025. Was it picked the same day? It was.
I think the 15th is right.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so. And that's not a criticism. I was really pleased I noticed that. I think I actually noticed something on there. Just before we finish, and it was really an interesting sort of session. We're talking about the training. Kerry and I attended the one on complaints recently, and it was actually quite nice to hear the presenter mention that the chair and the vice chair of the standards committee were in there. We didn't say anything, and nobody answered. I think it was nice that people are seeing yourselves and the standards committee as being part of the integration of the council, you know, and not something that just sits on its side, and is really working to keep councillors safe in whatever way we possibly can. So, you know, it was a very interesting session. There's another one coming, I think it's next week, it's the next one, that I shall be sitting in on, just for the fact that you can sit in and listen to what actually the councillors are getting. Yeah, you can have an invite. I think Catherine sent them out, didn't she?
Yeah, we'll make sure
and that's what it was. It was just really to see what was talked about and what was, and it was nice that, you know, that they recognised that Kerry and I were there, and it wasn't for any sort of gratitude. It was just, I think the two standard members, the chair and the vice chair, are here. One of the elected members asked a particular question, and they answered it perfectly well, but caveated that with, you know, the chair and the vice chair here, which is something we've been trying to do over the years, Vicky, is to try and build a profile of the committee. Hence why the presentation of our report directly to the council in previous years. You still have another council, on the committee, wasn't it? I can't think of his name now. Hooray. Phil Hooray used to take it. It was, you know, but we thought, let's do it ourselves and let's get ourselves out there so that people know that there are a standards committee. And I think that also fits hand in hand by asking the leaders of each group to come along and, you know, tell us what they're doing. Okay, on that note, thank you very much for your time this evening. Thank you, Leanne and Emily, for sorting out the teas and coffees. Vicky, don't expect it every month or every meeting, sorry. From that one, so thank you very much for sorting that. Welcome, this is how it is, and you know, I'm sure you'll have many happy meetings with us.
Thank you.
Thank you all, good guidance.